Welcome back to Crown Chats. I'm thrilled to welcome today's guest. He is a multi-talented artist, having photographed the top actors, models, and
Woo! Thank you.
yeah, welcome to Crown Chats. I'm so excited to get to know you a little more.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thanks for letting me come on your podcast.
So you just got back from the Christmas in a Small Town event, and you've actually become a frequent attendee of many of these fan expos, to the point that you're now one of the most sought out guests. I hope these event coordinators are learning that you basically just need your own booth from now on, because there are more people excited to see you than some of the marquee guests. I guess, what has your experience been like, not just attending these, but technically working these events, and having that chance to interact with so many fans and people that truly appreciate the work and creativity that you're putting out there?
Well, ironically, so I went to Georgia specifically because a lot of times when Tyler brings me, it's more he wants to make a gift for his fans. And so he asked me to come up and basically help oversee the podcasts, make sure the lighting and the audio and this and that is good so that he can gift it to the podcasters to use. And the first day I got there, I walked in and the girl that was running the event said, you are one of the most requested people. We're going to make you your own booth. And I had an assistant with me, and she was confused, and I was confused, and I was like, okay. So they made a table next to Tyler, and um, I was overwhelmed with love and beautiful stories, and some people had made like a Christmas ornament with like me shirtless with my dog and some stickers of me from when I had a cowboy hat from one of my shoots in Joshua Tree. And it was also my first time getting to meet people that had bought the book that Tyler and I had made and be able to physically see the book and sign it and talk to them and hear their experiences. And, you know, I was raised a certain way. I guess as a man, you're raised not to cry or be emotional, but by the end of the weekend, I think I'd cried like 3 or 4 times just from all of the stories. Like there was so many um, very important, heartfelt stories of things that people had gone through, and to think that like any effort that I put into art can create any sense of positivity or joy, or even like, hey, that's a cool photo. Um, it's mean not only does it mean a lot, but it's important for me because a lot of times when I'm creating art, you're kind of by yourself and you're doing stuff and you're putting it out into the world, and it feels like standing on the side of a mountain yelling into nothing. And so it's not often that you can meet somebody who's received it and then get feedback and feel how it created any sort of useful memory for them. And so I was getting just as much out of being there talking to people. And so for me, I was just like, this is amazing. I'm meeting beautiful, kind people who have so much to tell me. And then I get to see this book and all these photos and memories. And I, it was tough. It was like I never wanted to leave at the end of the day. You just want to be there and talk to people. And I remember one of the last conversations I had, an entire family came over. It was like 5 girls. It was just different generations. I think they were from Virginia. And we had a similar situation with our dads. And so they came into the booth and we ended up talking for like an hour.
You've created and produced so many kinds of stories, from photography to short films and music videos to now an upcoming full-length feature. Are you someone that's always dabbled in a little bit of everything, or did you start with one thing and it was a gradual progression from there?
Ironically, the inception of it all involved Tyler. So I was working, normal business jobs, and I wasn't happy. I wore a suit every day, I had no beard, wore tie, and I was hanging out with Tyler many, many, many years ago. And we were just buddies and we'd chat. And one day I was like, I'm not happy. I'm going to quit my job. I want to get into art, but I don't know what to do. And so he chatted with me, and, he grew up in movies and TV. And he was like, well, you seem to be good at business. Why don't you try producing? And so I produced a music video for Brandon Boyd from Incubus was my first project, and Tyler helped on it. And that was its own ordeal. And then a week later, the director was going to shoot a documentary with a band called Band of Horses in Big Sur, California, and with Al Jardine from the Beach Boys at the Beach Boys studio. And Tyler came on that trip. And Tyler had just bought a camera. I think it was his first big professional camera. I didn't own anything. I was dirt poor. And I kind of was like, yeah, I could do whatever you want. I could film, never touch the camera. And we went to Big Sur. And I remember we're driving down this driveway to the Beach Boys studio. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers had just left. They just recorded a new album. And one of the Beach Boys comes out. I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Oh, shit. But also, this is the coolest thing ever. And the director gave me a camera and kind of showed me how to turn it on and off and focus and record, and then walked away. And then one of the Beach Boys walked over and was like, oh, that's blah, blah camera. What's the difference between that and this? And at the time, I didn't know what he was talking about. So I just kind of started bullshitting him, but I think it was very obvious I didn't know what I was talking about. And the director's sister saw me bullshitting one of the Beach Boys, so she took a picture of it, which she then later sent to me. Anyway, and then we spent the next 3 or 4 days shooting this documentary. And I find sometimes when there's a lot of pressure to do a good job and you're willing to confront and learn and push that learning curve, it can create greatness. And so every other camera guy on the trip was like Emmy award winning, this, that, worked with Paul McCartney and Justin Bieber. And then there's me. And at the end of the trip, the director called me, and it was an amazing trip. I became friends with the band. They invited us to the Greek Theater to watch them. The whole thing was magical. But a week later, the director called me after he looked at the footage, and I was like, they caught me. The jig's up. I was ready to be like, I'm sorry, I'll go away. And he basically was like, you obviously technically don't know what to do with the camera, but you have something that can't be taught. You have the eye. Your composition and your choices are incredible. You should pursue this. And that changed my life. So then a week later, I borrowed Tyler's camera and I shot a girl that I was seeing at the time. Posted it on Facebook. This is before Instagram. And then from that, I booked all these shoots. And for the first year of photography, I borrowed Tyler's camera. Anyway, eventually, and at the time I was living with Tyler, and eventually I moved away and, had my own thing. And Tyler moved back to Canada, and we kind of went on different routes. He was doing his thing. I was doing photography. I got obsessed with photography. I was just trying to shoot as many people as possible. And then organically I started, growing from that and shooting for magazines, Rolling Stone, Billboard. Not long after that, I remember back then magazines were still relevant. And a friend of mine called me and she's like, I'm at the newsstand. There's a full page picture of yours in Rolling Stone and a full page, and that was Imagine Dragons. And then a full page picture of, Shay Mitchell from Pretty Little Liars and Us Weekly on every newsstand in America at the time. And so then after that, I just started shooting for all the labels and blah, 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 blah. And then I got into directing, and the first thing I did was direct a fashion film. And that was a lot of pulling off miracles, but we pulled it off, and then we ended up winning the number one award at the top fashion film festival in the world. And then there's a girl on The Voice at the time. I remember watching The Voice and being like, I want to do a music video for her. And then she had found out about me through somebody else and texted me and was like, I want you to do a music video for me. And so we did a music video, and then that blew up. And then I got into directing music videos for years. And then my first narrative was Americana, where I acted and directed and wrote and produced. And then I got sick. And so that was its own huge ordeal. And then I got back into it last year with Ride or Die. And now I'm like, kickstarting it. But basically, I lost like 4 years in the journey to COVID and sickness and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but yeah, it started with Tyler. And then eventually Tyler and I reunited, I think in like 2020 or 2019. Like we were always friends, but like he'd be off doing stuff, I'd be off doing stuff. And then we got together, we shot, then we shot again in 2021 at my apartment. And then I went to West Palm Beach in 2022. And then I got really sick. And then he helped save me. And then he flew me to LA and we shot there. And then he flew me to New York, we shot there. And then the book came out. So the whole Hallmark experience is still new and uncharted.
Yeah.
It is weird being at a convention and having people be like, what Hallmark movie have you been in? And you're like, I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy.
Background or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have fallen in love with the Hallmark community, and all of the actors I've met too have been just lovely people. Obviously, Tyler and Andrew are like family. And then people I knew later, like knew in the past, and then later became Hallmark, like Catherine Bell. But anyway, yeah. So I guess that's kind of the long answer to that.
In your opinion, what makes for a great photograph? Or more so, what is your inspiration and motivation in capturing imagery in the way that you do?
I think the way I tend to create art is I don't think about what am I supposed to do. I just am present and I feel the emotion and I listen to myself and then I create what I feel, which is good and bad. It's good if I like the person. But if I don't like the person, they're probably not going to get the best photos. But 99.9% of the time, everyone's lovely. And, if I meet somebody for the first time, I actually learned something in photography that helped me in life, which is if I'm photographing somebody and I just met them, I will ask them a lot of questions to get to know them and find things I like about them while I'm shooting them because it makes the photos better. And I find that if I go through life looking for what I like in somebody, people become much lovelier. Or if I walk around the planet and I look for things that are beautiful, the world becomes so much more beautiful. It's kind of like you get what you put effort into. If I go around, I think everyone's evil and mean and the world sucks, then that's what it'll become.
Yeah.
And so like even landscapes, like I'll drive around, I'm like, I love that sunset. Wow, look at that tree. It's like you just start realizing the earth is filled with so much beauty. And, despite what the news says, as I travel around the country, I've also found that the world is filled with so much love. There's so many people that want to be loved and they love others. And obviously we experience trauma and we get hurt and that shows itself in different ways. But like, even when you meet somebody at a Hallmark convention and someone's telling your story, it's like, what do I love about that story? What do I like about this person? And empathizing with all of their experiences that led them to that moment. Or like I remember there was a girl, she wrote a letter. She told me a story, then she wrote a letter to Tyler, and Tyler had me read it to him when we were changing and getting ready for something. And it was, she was in the hospital on Valentine's Day, and she had gone through so much that she didn't care if she died. She kind of given up. And then Tyler went live, and that message and that communication meant so much to her that it gave her hope. And, like we're artists. And obviously as artists, you have to constantly confront the truth of the world and still create. But like all of us are just people trying to survive. Um, and no matter how, that's one interesting thing about working with a lot of celebrities is like they're no different than whoever. Like they're also just people trying to survive, and they have terrible days. And I remember once I was complaining to a really big musician. I had a crazy person that was attacking me and doing all this stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad." Explain it to him because I was kind of new to like being in front of the camera, and I guess when you're in front of the camera, you can also attract crazies. And then he told me a story that was 1,000 times worse, where someone like came to the concert with a gun to like murder his wife because she couldn't be with him. And I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, no matter like that's why I guess I also don't understand this. Sometimes people attack celebrities or think that they have things better. It's like we're all the same. We're all just people trying to figure it out. And I think that's why community is so important. And with Hallmark having friendship and support of each other, it makes life easier.
So, the Joshua and Ty photo book last year was a massive hit with fans. And the overwhelming joy that it brought to so many people was truly beautiful. And I sincerely thank the two of you for creating something that brought so much joy and meaning to everybody. What was your inspiration in collaborating on this project? And if you can maybe spill a little bit, is there a plan for a volume two or maybe another collaboration between the two of you coming soon?
Well, the inspiration was when I was shooting Tyler and I was on these experiences, I was going through a very hard time in my life where I was fighting for my life. And I also was having a lot of trouble finding the solution to fix my problem. And so part of the reason I was doing these shoots is Tyler was making up excuses for me to get paid work to pay doctors to fix me. But also, we were finding excuses to just hang out and for him to help me through this. And then we released it, but there was no plan. Like we were just releasing some photos, but there were so many other photos that never got released. And so the inspiration for the book was a lot of fans started asking for the book. And I think ultimately Tyler tries to listen, you know? He doesn't just make something, he'll try to give something if it's wanted. And so the idea of the book came about, we talked about it, and then we started researching it and planning it. And to Tyler's credit, he figured out the solution of he didn't want it to be so expensive. So he was trying to figure out how to make it as cheap as possible and high quality as possible. And he had to like reinvent the wheel basically and create a whole team of people to do it. Otherwise, the book would have been like $250. Um, and then he spent months and months designing it. And there was points where like I even was like, this is great. And he was like, it could be better. And so he just kept pushing the quality and the quality. And so that was a lot of him of like creating the gift. And then once the book was done, he sent it to me and he waited for me to receive it. Because I remember I was supposed to receive it a certain day and it didn't come. And I was on set to shoot Ride or Die. And the day we were going to film, I'm in costume. We haven't started filming yet. And then the package arrives. My art director sits out there and films me opening it. And I sent it to Tyler. And it was like, it's one thing to see a photo on social media, but to see something printed in a book form, it's art. You know what I mean? There's nothing that beats that. And that was very emotional for me to see that, but also like very vulnerable. Now there's people out there that are part of a very hard part of my life, part of that journey. Anyway, and then it came out and didn't know how that would be received, and then it was received well. And then being in Georgia and seeing the book and having people talk about it and show me their favorite photos and what it meant to them, and asking if there's going to be another one, and I'm just like, I don't know. We'll see what Tyler wants to do, or maybe there'll be something with another artist also. We're kind of like in uncharted territory, so we're seeing how it unfolds, and then that'll kind of dictate what happens next.
Yeah. I didn't know if it'd be like his boot shot thing where it's like every year there's like a new volume or like an updated kind of edition. So, just planting the seed if other people haven't done it already. Because I think the demand's there. If you're listening, then
I hope so.
as if you're not doing enough projects on your own. Throw that out there. And you got a spill here. Are we going to be finding you sporting one of the Hynes bracelets?
I have one. But right now, all I'm wearing is an Apple Watch. I did get some bracelets at the event, though, and I did wear them. So I don't know, maybe I'll become a bracelet person.
There you go.
I have some bracelets and boot shots and obviously the book. But yeah, I love all of them. I think all of the products he created are such high quality now. Like, sounds bad, but I went to a theme park. I'm not going to say the name so I don't get in trouble. And they were charging so much for things that were such low quality. And I wish there were a lot more people like Tyler that tries to give as much as he can,
You seem to wear a million hats and are constantly working on a variety of projects. Can you share a little bit about what you're currently working on now and what we can expect in the near future?
Yes, I am working on a couple of things. I am working on my first ever movie. I'm writing the script now. We're fundraising. Right now, I just call it Confidential Files, but there's no official title yet. And it's a found footage horror movie, but it's like a new original approach. And some people, when they hear horror film, they get scared and put it in a category, but it's more like there's a female lead who is an incredible person, and we follow her journey. So it's sort of this incredible, beautiful arc of the character with horror aspects, but the horror really represents the trauma this person experienced. And so I have two musicians playing themselves. It's sort of meta, like we're all playing our real selves. I can't say who the musicians are, but then there's this girl, Brooke, who plays my girlfriend in the movie, and she's world champion CrossFit athlete, was in Wonder Woman. I think she's training for the Olympics now. Like, she's a total badass. So I've been working out a lot more so I can like try to get to her level a little bit. But she's also like the most sweet, supportive, incredible person. And so we're kind of in the beginning phases of putting that together. And then I also am writing another movie that's a romantic drama. And then I also have two short films that I'm putting together as well. One's romantic and one's horror. So kind of like a lot of, and then I'm working on two documentaries as well. So, after having been forced to step away from everything for a few years, I'm ready to like just go full force,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that there's like the spectrum of like the kind of the romance, and then there's also the horror, because my husband always makes fun of me because like if I'm not watching Hallmark, I'm probably watching like horror movies. And so I always joked that I should start the Hallmark Horror Channel so that at least there's something a little more niche for that. So maybe there we go. I'll start the network and you can write for it, because it seems
that'd be amazing.
You got a nice library of work coming. So there you go. And that brings us to our final segment, which I call a little crown to crown, which is simply a rapid fire response. I'm going to give you a topic, and you'll give me the first answer that comes to mind.
Okay.
And you've recently been on a health journey, or kind of upping that, as you said, with all the projects you're working on. What are some of the best health tips, or maybe practices that you've added to your life lately?
Eating whole foods. So I have a theory that like most man-made food is poison. So, like I eat clean steak, vegetables, white rice, sweet potatoes, salad, and the more I've been doing that, the more, like, for me, when my body's inflamed, that's where disease is rampant and pain is rampant. So anything that makes my body not inflamed, and then just movement. Like, not every day I can, you know, spend 5 hours at the gym, but if I'm walking and moving and drinking lots of water, and the hardest thing, getting lots of good sleep. Um, but I find that 90% of my health is what I put in my body.
Dream filming or shooting location?
Ooh, Edinburgh, Scotland. Um, Iceland. I think they shot the movie Oblivion in Iceland, and it just looks so incredibly epic.
What is your best advice to aspiring artists?
My best advice is don't make things for other people. Every time I would make photography or film thinking this is what people expect of me, it would be crap. But find things that you would love, that are authentic to you, that you would be psyched to see. And um, also create as much as possible, because the way you create your style, your voice, is by doing over and over and over and over again. And you'll start honing in on what you like. Obviously, in the beginning, you can copy somebody, like, oh, let's look at that lighting and do it, and then try this and try that until you start kind of figuring it out. But always try to, whether it's movie making or acting or photography, just create what you personally are excited about. Don't do something because you think it's going to get you more likes or more appreciation, because then that's not art, that's just regurgitation. And I think people will subconsciously not connect with it. But if you're always truthful and authentic with the things that you create, you tend to connect with people more.
And lastly, a favorite charity or organization to give a shout out to that holds a place in your heart?
I need to research actual charities, but my plan is, I'm like psychotically passionate about animals. And where I live in Florida, I'm constantly saving animals, and I work with a rescue. But one day I want to create a charity that just saves animals, and I would love to. They just did this in New York, but I would love for them to do this in all America, where they make, I think it's dogs in New York. They just made them legally a part of the family, not just a thing, where most states they consider them a thing. So I think they need to pass laws to make our domesticated animals part of the family so that they have rights, you know? Because otherwise, there's like cops and things can kill your dog and get away with it. And that infuriates me. Um, so any charity that doesn't keep 90% of the money donated, but actually goes out there and saves animals, um, I'm very passionate about.
And that wraps us up. Thank you so much for your time and for being here. I'm a huge fan of your work, and I think all of the Hynes are always excited to see what obviously you and Tyler are working on as well. You have so many exciting things in the works, and no one wants to miss out, so please let everybody know where they can find and follow you to keep up with all projects and art. Joshua Shultz.
What I update the most is my Instagram, which is at Joshua Schultz, and there's no C in my spelling of Schultz, so it's JoshuaShultz. And then my website is also Joshua Schultz, and Twitter. I think my Facebook is Schultz Studios. I've been trying to change it back, but it won't let me because I'm verified. So I don't know if I have to be stuck. Yeah, I mean, my Instagram, Joshua Schultz. I update that every day, and yeah.
And that wraps up another episode of Crown Chats. Thank you so much for joining me. You don't want to miss out on all the fun guests still to come later this year, so please be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and of course, follow me, Haley, at Curl in the Halls on Instagram. And don't forget about our sweet merch with Dressing Festive. You can find that linked here on this episode, and of course, in my Instagram bio. So until next time, wear your crown. Your crown may tilt, may it never fall, but you are beautiful and you are strong.